Wouldn't you love to have enough mob heads for all your totally real friends? I mean, all the cool kids are doing it, but man, even when you get the thunderstorm, you got to be online. You got to go on the creepers. We've been through this whole thing before. So why should we settle for straw making a little farm when you can make a big one? Let's get to it. So I do have a mobhead farm on my channel that it is definitely smaller than this. Actually did a collab with Shulkercraft and they did a slight redesign and a build tutorial of it to make it a little easier to build if you're just looking to get out some cheap materials. This one is definitely not going to be cheap materials, but not only are we going to get more heads, you may have saw in the thumbnail, there's going to be 150 heads per storm. But in addition to the skeleton skulls, zombie heads, and creeper heads, you're also going to have the option of getting piglin heads. So as always, down the video description is going to be a world download where you can download this world, take a schematic and build it for yourself, or you can just download it, mess around with it, see what you like, see what you don't like, those types of things. This is the same basic premise of the other mob farm. If I remember, I'll put a link down the video description, but basically we just need to get creepers stored and charged. And the problem before was we were dealing with mob caps, so you can only do 70 mobs at a time. This time we are going to putting them This time we are going to be putting them in minecarts and stasis chambers, so we will get them out of the mob cap, get them ready to go on demand. That way we can do much more, and so that's why we're going to have 150 charge creepers per storm instead of just the average of 35 that we were getting last time. And then you're going to have 150 of your other basic overworld mobs, or 100, and I think it's 146 piglin heads. Now, I do want to cover a few things that always come up on the other one. One, you only get one head per charge creeper that's exploded. If you put 10 mobs into the same chamber with that charge creeper, even if they're right on top of it, only the first mob that dies in the game tick is actually going to drop its head. The rest will ignore it. Secondly, you cannot put wither skeletons in this and get wither skeleton skulls that way. Wither skeleton skulls are player kills only. Check out the whiskey train on my channel if you're interested in getting skulls. Thirdly, yes, this is dependent on getting a storm. There is unfortunately no way that you can charge a creeper without lightning, so you do need to wait for a storm. That's one of the reasons why I bulk this up, so that it's at 150, so that each storm that happens, there's a lot more. Now, technically, I did make this part right here in a tileable way at first. I was thinking about making it expandable. The thing is, having that many mobs in that many minecarts, it is going to chug on your MSPT a little bit. So make sure that if you're doing this on a server, people on the server are cool with it running. Maybe it's overnight on a non-busy period, and then you come in the morning and clear it out. Or if it's single player, you're just aware. This one you are going to be able to leave when you're done loading it so that you can come back to it when there's a storm. However, there are going to be several lightning rods, and we'll get into the details about that have to get hit in that same storm. And unfortunately, some storms can be short, so it means you might not get every single one in that storm. Final thing to note, in my video, I made sure that you had blast protection armor and all that. In the Shulkercraft version, they just used a shield, which you could argue is actually the easier option, the cheaper option. I just don't like carrying a shield around at that point in the game, but whatever. In this version, I'm going to run it without armor in survival, and we can survive. That's why I do have a beacon here. If you don't have a beacon, you are going to want to make sure you've got some armor on to be able to survive that. But it's still not dying with each explosion. We have a system that'll show you what's going on. You'll take a little bit of damage and you can heal up as you go. So first things first, as with all my builds, look for the yellow concrete, of course. So coming in here, this is going to be the control center of the entire system. Here's where we're going to be able to call our charged creeper, call a mob to get their head, or get a piglin to call his head. But before that happens, the system needs to be ready for it. So we do have a system in place this time to notify when the system is filled up with charged creepers and actually ready to go. So when we turn on this on-off switch, all that means is we're going to be able to start then generating mobs and actually capturing those mobs. So first thing to note is if this is turned off, you're not going to spit any of them out into minecarts. So they'll all despawn when you fly away. So if you're building this or you don't need to be running this and you don't want to start building up, maybe someone keeps flying by that area, you can just leave it turned off. They're not going to gather up in the stasis. I did leave a note here in the world download that I'm going to be providing. It's going to be in peaceful mode. So if you want to actually test this, make sure you come here, switch this to hard mode. And now we can actually start spawning mobs. So we need to do our initial fill up first. So what we're going to do is we're going to head up that scaffolding, and then up here is going to be another bit of scaffolding. This is going to be our AFK. Then up there is going to be another bit of scaffolding, so we're right in the center. Up here, in between this glowstone, this is where the AFK spot is going to be. You'll notice this is built over an ocean. You are probably going to want to build this over an ocean. However, I'm going to turn on the despawn sphere so that we can see the range. I'm going to go into free cam so we can see when we're standing up there, the despawn area does come down to here and goes into the water. So I've picked this height and everything based on that, based on the height that you stand at. If you wanted to do this not over an ocean, you technically could and just light up this area that would be inside this sphere. So this area here, you would need to make sure that that's lit up and there are no caves underneath. So if you have an area that's just like a little river that still has some area up here, there might be some caves underneath. They're going to skew your numbers, but pretty much with only that little area in the circle, you're going to be fine. So that's why we do build it that high up. And it's the same concept as the last one. If you've seen the last one, in one chamber, we're going to spawn the general mobs. In one chamber, we're going to spawn creepers. But this time, instead of just keeping them within the player's can't despawn sphere, we're going to pick them up in minecarts. So I'm going to spawn an AFK bot up here just so that we can go down and see what's going on. So here we just have a basic mob flusher with creepers. So we have those trapdoors on top, so we can only do creepers. We have the slabs in there to stop spiders from spawning in there, so we only get creepers. And then over on this side, it's just general mobs. So you can get creepers, skeletons, and zombies in here. Technically, you can also get a witch in here, but because we are dropping the mobs down, the ones that don't get picked up, they can despawn. So you can see we're getting some pretty decent rates, even though this is way high up in the sky. If this was mob farm rates, you know, for mob drops, maybe not that great. But we only need to build up that 150, and we have so much time in between those thunderstorms, unfortunately, that's what we've got. Okay, so in this scenario, I would then want to turn it on, then go up to the top and go to my AFK spot. I already have my AFK bot, so let's go check out what it's doing now. So now on a clock, it's going to send out minecarts. It's going to pick up creepers. It's also going to pick up whatever mobs are on this other side. On the creeper side, what we're doing is we're detecting if there is a mob in it by having it go through a string. If there's not, we send a minecart back until we can then actually pick up a mob. You can see it there. That one's going to go to stasis. So we have this system here that's going to put them in these water stream slots. We do the water stream slots simply because when the creeper gets struck by lightning, it's going to start on fire. We don't want it to die to fire damage, so we have it touching water so that it won't actually do that. Then they stay in these stasis slots until we actually get it full. So this is space for 150 creepers. Then what's going to happen is it's going to automatically shut off that side of the system, and it's going to, well, we'll look at it when we get there, but it's going to prepare itself to get ready for a storm. Right now, it's not ready for a storm. You can see all those lightning rods are covered up because we don't want to get them struck multiple times and just have them die to then lightning damage. Now, the other side, the general mob side, I decided to make it a little bit easier with less redstone, but there is actually a honey system, so it's kind of up to you if you wanted to switch it out for that type of system. I just figured this was much easier. So we send the mob into a bubble column, send them all the way up. They get to the top, and then we launch them against this honey so that as they fall down, they're not going to take any damage when they land, even though they have to go all that way down. We just have that nice and slow descent until they get down to that trapdoor where they stop, and then they start stacking up on top of each other. That's the reason why we have this fully encased. Oh, I mean that, and then skeleton archers don't start shooting at you and creepers don't blow up next to you. But they stack up here so that we can just easily call one at a time. In one of my previous systems, I had each of these blocks had its own trapdoor that it had to deal with. That ended up being kind of a big problem just because then you had to make sure that you got the timing down right and all that. Here, we're just relying on the fact that it's going to take gravity, that guy a little bit of time to drop down. And then as soon as that happens, that trapdoor's already closed because we just do it for a few ticks. And then we're ready there. When these fill up, so when either the creeper stasis fills up, this chamber is going to activate, or when this stasis fills up, this one is going to activate. The way that we're determining it's filled up is nice and easy, is we're just using 150 minecarts per side. So you can put signs here inside this hopper and chest system. You get 150 of them. You want there to be a total of 3 minecarts left in this hopper right here. Obviously, I don't have them because the system is active. Same thing on this side. 3 minecarts in this hopper right here when the system is inactive. But when those do activate, what's going to happen is some lava is going to come out of those dispensers, and that way any mobs that drop down there are going to start to burn, and so they're not taking up any extra MSPT or anything. So I did go ahead and actually throw a hopper minecart into that block and then put a hopper on there spit the items out over to storage. You know, why not grab some gunpowder? This side is actually going to turn off its spawning, simply because we can end up getting witches in there that end up in lava and keep regenerating their health. They can be an annoying problem. So this side right here, you can see that part of the gate is also going to go all the way up here, and inside this spawning chamber on that side, there are redstone lamps that are going to turn on and turn off the spawning on this side. This side will just let the creepers keep coming because, again, it's not much MSPT. Figured we might save on a little bit of it. But this side, sure, why not get some free gunpowder out of it too? Everyone needs gunpowder for science and stuff like that, right? Science for gunpowder. So you're just going to need to let that run until that fills up. Like I said, once it's done filling up, it's going to turn on the system. So you could just also, you don't have to do anything to prepare for a storm. This will automatically unlock itself for a storm. So once this fills up, it's ready to wait for a storm. So you can just start AFKing this and head off to bed yourself if you don't want to watch it fill up with the stasis. The way that we're getting the mobs to wander into the water stream, this is something important. We are close enough to the player that they will pathfind, but you'll notice that these blocks down here, most of these underneath are actually slabs. So these are top half slabs. They can spawn up there, but they don't want to pathfind to them, except on these edges. These are full blocks, so they try and pathfind to them. Yes, sometimes they pathfind to this side and they stay there, but then the next time they'll try to pathfind over to this side, walk over the trapdoors, fall in. Same thing over on this side. We can see a zombie is trying to pathfind over to there right now, and he falls into the water stream and then down to the hole. We do have this roof on top. This is a little pack spawning roof. So we're bringing in pack spawns. If you're not sure about that, I do have a video about how the height map and pack spawning works. And then we are using stairs here because they are not full blocks, so pack spawns can go through those. So if you don't want to do the slab roof, you don't have to. I've seen that question come up before, is do I have to do the slab roof because it's not keeping out any light at this level since this is kind of locked in. Oh, we actually just saw it turn on there. So you can see that light's going to turn on. These mobs are going to fall down and then they're going to burn in that lava down there. They'll go into the lava and we'll just go ahead and collect their drops. But as I was saying, that's why we do have that slab roof on there. Is it important that you include my logo in the deco of it? No, but it's cool, right? So just know you can use different types of blocks here. I did go ahead and use smooth stone this time because it's something that's been brought up. I wanted to give it a go. But there is a reason why these are slabs, these are stairs, and these are full blocks. As far as your chutes, doesn't have to be glass. I just chose glass so you could actually see them doing their thing. Figured why not. So you can see this side did turn off by not having any minecarts left in there. So that means it's full.
One eternity later.
And at the point that it's filled up, you'll notice I did leave a little bit of extra space in there. So yes, it is a little bit taller, but we're talking about a stack this big, leaving a little bit extra space is just fine. Maybe you get a couple extra minecarts in there, whatever. You can actually go ahead and throw a couple extra minecarts in there if you want. It's not going to hurt anything. There is another couple of hoppers that are available. But at that point, again, you're still relying on how many charged creepers you have. So this is definitely going to fill up first because this can spawn more types of mobs. The other chamber can only spawn creepers. So creepers are going to take a little longer to fill up. So I'm going to tip warp this until the creepers are done filling up. Okay, there we go. Now we got the creeper filled up. You will notice my sound engine is completely overloaded. So there are no sounds. That's from all the minecarts. You also notice top left MSPT. A little higher. It's up at 15. So baseline earlier was about 2 to 3. So this is a significant amount of MSP to keep these all in there. But the benefit of the last one is you could not leave this area now. You had to stay in that exact AFK spot in order to keep these guys. I'm going to just kill the player. We'll just kill them and we can leave the area and come back later if we wanted. Now, if you are not concerned with piglin heads, you don't need them for whatever project you're doing, whatever, that's fine. You can be done here. But there is a whole nether side to this because we do need to get piglins. So if I come down here to where we have the nether portal, that's what the nether portal is for. I'm just going to open this and head on through. So we have a similar stasis system over here in the nether where we're going to store all of our piglins. So all we have here is we have a small spawning platform that we're going to build here in a nether waste. You could also do a crimson forest, but I do not have handling for hoglins on here. So you would need something for hoglins as well. But basically we want to get the zombified piglins to get over here. So we lure them over with a turtle egg. They fall through. They're going to actually fall out of the despawn sphere. We'll show that in a bit. And then all the piglins, the non-zombified ones, will want to run over here away from both them and the soul torches because piglins are afraid of soul anything. They're going to fall down here where they can get picked up by minecarts. Same thing, sent to the stasis chamber. We do burn the little baby piglins because they don't work inside the system. They don't give us any heads, so what's the point of them? And then just in case a baby piglin jumps to get out of the way, we do actually have a magma block here that we'll eject them onto. But same idea, we're going to come over here, we're going to turn this on, and then it's going to start spitting out our minecarts. The system is based on how many minecarts you have in the system, so here you want 78 minecarts, so you fill it up to here. I do apologize, earlier I did seem to imply there was going to be up to 150 piglins per storm. There are ways to do it. You could either double up this stasis chamber and add on much more cart storage. You could build a perimeter to build this in to get it lower, because build height, why would you build... Please don't build a perimeter for piglin heads. But if you do, you can build this lower and build the stasis chamber higher and put in more minecarts. So once we have the system turned on, we can see the minecarts that are going around there. We do have those minecarts again raised up a little bit to try and avoid as many of the babies as possible. They all fall down onto this slab. So we're going to head up the scaffolding all the way up to the top. I'm going to turn on my fly speed to get up there quicker. Just hop down onto our glowstone block. I'm going to go into free cam now. What we can see is we're going to get some spawns down here. Again, zombified piglins. I'm going to turn on that despawn sphere I was talking about. So this is where that radius is. So we can see the zombified piglins as they fall out, they're going to actually fall out of that sphere. And they're going to despawn. And then any piglins will initially get scared by the zombified piglins. They'll also get scared by the soul torches. And they'll run over this way. The zombified piglins want to run this way. So that's how we're sorting them. We have glass on top, so we don't have to worry about gas or endermen or anything, or any magma cubes. It's just going to be those two mob types. And same thing, they go up this rail system. Unfortunately, we don't have a bubble column here, so it's just a kind of helix of rails that goes up to the top, drops them up against honey, and drops them down. That's why we do drop the player down a couple of blocks here, so you're protected from the piglins being able to see you and shoot you with their crossbows. There we go. We can see some of the piglins that are running away now. So they first run away from the zombified piglins, then from the soulfire. They hop down in, get picked up by the minecarts. There we can see a baby got picked up, so we just eject them out of the magma to get rid of them, because they don't give us any heads. There we go. They would get picked up, sent up. We have enough delay on those minecarts. They don't run into each other. We're going to go up the helix and then come back down. Once this is done, and I'll tick warp it in just a moment here, it's actually going to shoot lava out of these dispensers just to cover down the whole place and spawn proof it, so we don't have to worry about extra spawning. So this is definitely something that you need to do ahead of time. The stasis chambers to fill up, they do take a little bit of time. So in the Nether, you're looking at probably about half hour, as well as the Overworld. So you do need a little bit of AFK time there, depending on which side you want to get. So it's something to plan for. The way that we're going to call them, and we're going to see they're just buttons to do the calling. What we do is we actually shoot an item through the portal in the Overworld. That loads this area around the portal. It's also over here, but we're not concerned with that. We're just concerned with this area, the redstone that we need, and the entities. So it loads this chunk and then the 3 surrounding chunks for entity processing. And so that way we can actually control what we've got going on here with the redstone, as long as we do it in under 15 seconds. So we have the minecart right here that just needs to drop right there, drops him into the portal using an activator rail, shoots the minecart back over here and into the hopper, and then we don't have to worry about entity processing anymore. We got plenty of time for it. And that's going to spit them into the nether portal then. While this is tick warping, you will notice there's actually a decent amount of zombified piglins. If you wanted to, you could put some kind of little mini kill system in there. You don't have enough room for fall damage again, but you could put, soul sand with withered roses on it, or some kind of other, like powdered snow, some kind of other kill chamber system under there to collect their drops. But once again, this does automatically turn off once it's done running. So this is meant to just AFK real brief while you grab a sandwich, come back, and then your stasis chamber is filled up and you're ready to go. I've been tick warping this for just a little bit. Just noticed that, thought I'd mention it while I was there. So I'm going to get back to tick warping this in the background. There we go. Didn't even take the full tick warp, and we can see now it's full up, ready to go, ready and waiting for us. So now we have both systems active. So we can see now that it's filled up. Now all of those lightning rods are exposed. We do have this lined up so that it can hit enough of those charge creepers with each one. Once it gets hit, what it's actually going to do is push a block back over it so it can't get double hit. So that's another reason why I have those spaced out so it doesn't overlap, and again blow those up, just for not blow them up, but kill them from lightning damage. And then once those are all done, we're going to unlock this one right here, so that if we do have any additional ones, instead of it hitting somewhere random in the farm, it's actually going to hit on this lightning rod right here. So we do need to make sure those were all clear of the actual overhang that we had from the mob farm. So that's why it was moved out a little bit. That was one of the reasons. In the interest of time, instead of waiting for it to try and record with, I am just going to change the window to thunder here. We're going to see what's going to happen. There we had our first one go off. Our first lightning hit turned all those creepers into charge creepers. You can see now that is actually covered up, and what we're waiting for is for all these to get hit. So depending on your RNG, there actually technically is a chance that not enough of them are going to hit. There, we had another one go there. And you're going to have to wait for another storm. If you're AFKing overnight, chances are almost certain that you're going to get a couple of storms throughout that period. So may RNG be on your side for this one. Technically, if you really wanted to, if you came back and all of them except one of them had been hit, you could just close that one off and let the system continue. And whenever you get one of those creepers, you just call it quits. Well, not call it quits. You just kill that one and call a new creeper. There we go. There was our last one. Now they're all charged up, and we're going to see that the system is actually going to turn over. So there, we now have this lightning rod that is active. So if lightning is going to strike again, it'll strike there. Obviously, usually the thunderstorm is going to be over, but if you are here during the thunderstorm, by all means, I'm just going to turn the thunderstorm off. You can see now in our control room, our system has changed over to the call system is active. We're ready to go. So now comes to actually calling them. We can actually see that part. This is the part that we really care about. So we do have a system here where it's going to put some blocks in front of the mob and the player. The charge creeper is going to blow up. So we don't need to do the same running this time. I'm going to go into survival for this just to show. I'm going to go into my inventory. See, I am wearing no armor. I'm even going to take off the creeper head just so it doesn't appear to skew any results. And there we go. I'll be in that. You can see, no armor. So now we can start off with what we're going to call. First thing we're going to need is a charge creeper. We want to make sure that we have a flint and steel in our hand. I've gone ahead and thrown unbreaking on it because why not? You are going to need some flint and steel for this, for that many. What's going to happen is it's going to send a charge creeper, and I'll show that call system in just a moment after I show how to use this. We're going to call a mob that we want to get. So in this case, I'll just take one of the Overworld general mobs. That's going to come over here. We're going to see him come in, so we're going to get a zombie. I'm going to step on these pressure plates. It's going to open the door, light the creeper's feet, and just step back. Just so that closes, and you can see I took a half-hearted damage there. No armor or anything, just fine. That system is then going to collect and shoot out a water stream and start coming over here to these chests where it's going to gather everything up. So these are all the jobs from the extra mobs that we had, and then these are the heads. No reason you can't throw a filtered storage system on here. One of the things, though, is you need to have those mob heads in order to start off with, and you're not going to have them, so if you want to do that, by all means, you can. I just threw some extra chests on here because I figured, even this is more than you're going to need for that because these are the heads you're getting, so that's fine. So I'm going to get ready to call a charge creeper. I'm going to go into free cam here so I can do that. What's going to happen is we have a system here with droppers and hoppers that are using comparators to determine where an item is in this stream. So this was the first one. We actually called it already, so we called that first one. So now we're on to the second one. So there's just an item in here. It doesn't have to be a wooden axe, just an item. And when that item spits into this hopper, it's first going to send a signal through that comparator, and then it's going to go to the next dropper and get ready for the next one. You see what it's going to do is it's going to push this rail up. These guys are on honey blocks, so they can get sucked through it, and it's going to suck out the creeper, send the rail over here, eject the creeper from the rail into the water stream, and then it'll be ready and waiting for us. So I'm going to click the button from free cam right here. There we go. Then that minecart actually gets sent back over to our system, ready and waiting for us to actually run it again next time that we're ready. I'm going to show the general mob calling as well. So I'm going to go into free cam, get ready to click that. Like I said, all we need to do is just open this trapdoor real quick so that that minecart is then glitched through the trapdoor so it can fall through. The next one that lands down won't be able to. And it falls really slow because it's on that honey and that gravity. We don't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to right click that. See, same thing, just shoots them out into the water stream. Sends the minecart back to the system, ready for next time. Same thing, step on the pressure plate, open the door, stand back. We got half-hearted damage, we're fine. If I was wearing any armor at all, this would be really negligible damage. All right, now comes the little trickier part to show. It's an easy system to use. If I want to call a piglin, you need to do this quick, so that's one thing to remember. So I do need to call a charge creeper first, because once the piglin comes to the overworld, you have 15 seconds in order to blow it up before it turns into a zombified piglin. I'm sure most of you knew that. If you didn't, they will turn into a zombified piglin in 15 seconds. But this system seemed a lot easier than calling the charge creepers to the Nether, where we didn't have water to deal with anything. Here, the charge creeper is in a water stream. You can kind of see that, so we don't have to worry about him blowing anything up. It's nice and easy. In the Nether, we would have to be concerned with that. So I figured, you know what? The 15-second timer is just fine. They're going to get to you with plenty of time in order to be able to do it. So first, I'm going to show this just from the overworld point of view. Then we'll go look at the Nether. So I'm going to spawn in a bot to actually use that button for us so we can see what's going on here. Basically, when we hit that button, all that's going to happen, and I've temporarily disabled so I could just show this, that's just going to send a signal to this dropper to shoot an item through, and that's all we really need. So this can be any random item you got laying around, some slabs, some extra seeds, bamboo. If you're really worried about running out, I mean, you can fill up this, or you could put a little like mini bamboo farm on there to fill it up to you. But at this point, I figured, you know, we all have that chest of seeds that we don't want. You could just throw them in here. So I'll reconnect that in the moment, but just know in the overworld, that's all that's happening is we're shooting an item through. I am going to put these hopper minecarts back so that we actually start collecting it. But what's going to happen is, and you need to make sure you test this on your world before you actually do it, how you have this portal lined up with where that item is going to shoot out. You need to actually stop that item from just flying out to the side. You can see when I took those out of there and took the blocks out of the way, it just flew through. I was thinking of showing that, but I mean, if you face it the wrong direction, it's going to end up coming out that way. It's just one of those things. Just put up those portals, send some items through, see where they end up, so that you can make sure you block those off. You want those to fall down on here so the hopper minecarts can pick them up. Those hopper minecarts sending in the signal through this comparator is once again what's going to give us that signal. I'm sending it into fire right here. If you really want to be able to reuse those items, by all means, you could just put this into a little chest line right there. But now I'm going to have the bot in the overworld use it. We're going to see what's going to happen. Again, very quick and simple. There we go. We have him drop down. He's already spit through. There we go. We had more than enough time in order to get that. Okay, I'm going to keep using the bot just so we can look at this. What you're going to see is he's going to come through the portal. He's going to get scared by that soul fire and pushed into this water stream. There we go. Now he's right next to the charge creeper. I probably should have thought this through and been ready to actually grab him to show what's actually going to happen. But you can see how much time you actually have. It's plenty of time. Okay, there we go. What a weird little dude. Okay, once again, I am going to go into survival mode and show this, so I'll hit my button there. We're going to wait for our zombified piglin to come through. There we go. Light the charge creeper. There we go, and back up. And now we'll have our head coming in just a moment here. There we go. So now we can keep doing that until there are no more piglins left. We can just run through the rest of the charge creepers on these general mobs. We can clear those out, whatever you want to do there. However, reset of this system is going to be based on getting the minecarts you need back into this system over here on the creeper side. So that's what our detection is. So if you want to leave extra ones in here, like you decide to get all your piglins over from the Nether and you have a bunch still left in here, the decider is based on the charge creepers right here, since that's what all this is based around. So once this side fills back up with its minecarts, then this is going to unlock, allow this to unlock, and then allow you to be able to turn the system back on. So what we're doing to prevent that is just pushing a piston down to keep this system disabled. So once those go back, it doesn't automatically turn back on. It just enables you to be able to turn it back on. So if you're sitting here clicking the on-off button, wondering why nothing's happening, you can see there's actually nothing going on. That's because we have this blocked off from doing anything. We do also have some spam protection on these note blocks here. So if you'd accidentally turn on your fast right click or something like that, or you have someone coming along trying to grief, just spamming the crap out of it. There is some spam protection here, so you don't grab too many. However, there's nothing stopping you from getting extra mobs in this chamber. If you really were just, waiting until they were reset in order to do that. Just again, note, you cannot get multiple heads per explosion. You will kill multiple mobs per explosion. You only get one head per explosion. So I am going to reset this so that it's ready for the world download. A couple things to note. I did make one quick change. I actually left this as a chest when I originally started recording. That should be a wall. So that will be in the world download change. But I was looking directly at that earlier and I just wanted to make note of it. So we're going to see when I fill this hopper up to 3, meaning that we had cleared out all of our charge creepers, how this is then going to reset for us. There we go. So now it's not pushing the piston in place of that anymore, so we're ready to turn it back on when we want. But you can see it is not automatically turned back on for us. And that's pretty much it on how to use the farm. If that's all you need, by all means, go ahead and check out the video description where you'll find a link to this world download so you can take your schematics. I do have a couple other things I want to note if you're interested and have questions about them, like why did I use furnaces down here? No other reason other than it was a non-sticky, non-movable block that could be powered. So by all means, that could be obsidian or glazed terracotta. I've just started using furnaces more for that stuff. Just again, that dirt cheap series is just spoiling me. Like, why would I want to put obsidian there where I could just throw in some, I mean, maybe you're at the point you have an obsidian farm. So by all means, but I think if you're kind of at that point where you have all those farms to do all this stuff for you, why not just go ahead and include those. A lot of this glass can be replaced with just normal full blocks that you can't see through if you don't want to be able to see what's going on. So like the glass here and these, the glass in the chutes, the glass in the stasis chamber. Do note, these down here do need to be transparent blocks. We keep the creepers' heads inside of glass just so if there's like a player wandering by, they don't spot them and explode and blow up half of your farm. So you do want those to be transparent blocks so that the creeper doesn't suffocate by the time it gets down here. These early ones would be fine, but the far ones would have a problem. Again, a beacon is not really necessary. If you got yourself any decent armor, you'll be able to withstand those blasts. So yes, I did have resistance and regen on there. But with that, I didn't even have any armor. So if you had both the beacon and armor on, you wouldn't even know anything was happening. Only thing is, don't just like stand there, light it, and then just boom. Then you are going to take a little more damage. Again, these systems are based off of the detection of how many hopper minecarts are in there. Over on this side right here, you can see we have this little detection system detecting how many minecarts are in this one. So that's going to determine whether or not you can turn it on or off. You do not have to collect these items if you don't want to. So if that's just an extra step, you've already got all the farms you need for all that kind of stuff. You know, forget that. You can just skip that part. One thing you do need to be aware of is as you're running through this system, that item is going to stop wherever you left it. So it is going to call charge creepers from that point. Doesn't really matter because once it gets to the end, this dropper line is going to send itself back. By all means, you could use a like a waterway to send that item back to the start. You could use a hopper line if you really want, but you just have to note that you do have to wait for it to get from this side back to the other one before you use it again. In most normal circumstances, it should be fine, but I just figured why not throw a quick dropper line on here. This is not an instant dropper line, it's just a quick dropper line. Final note I have is you will notice, yes, this is a solid block, then there's a gravity block here. This could be any gravity block like gravel, sand, concrete powder, those types of things. Maybe you wouldn't rely on concrete powder because if you accidentally break some water while you're building this, that's going to turn to concrete. We do have that because we don't actually want to pull these composters up if we don't have to. But by all means, you actually could extend the slime back here. Again, if you don't mind burning the slime, make this a normal block. But that's why I've used sand here, just because then this will automatically fall back in place for us. Then here, even though mobs can also get their minecart sucked through both soul sand and mud, we're still using a honey block because the honey block isn't going to cause any suffocation damage. We're relying on the fact that they're getting struck by lightning. There is a chance they could possibly take a little bit of anti-cramming damage depending on how many spawn down there. We just want to make sure we're not losing anything in the process. So that's why I've used honey here. And then finally, if you really don't want to have to AFK for that long and want to cut it down, you just want to build some more, you could build some more of these chambers. But again, this is an AFK based farm because you need to wait for a thunderstorm anyways. So why not? Final thing, one more note. I did mention you could build this over land if you wanted it. It doesn't have to be over an ocean, but you do need to make sure that it is in a biome where lightning will strike. That seems to be debated on different servers with some mod levels, different server settings, all that. So just make sure it's in a biome where thunder will actually strike. Vanilla, any ocean is going to get thunder, that type of thing. But things like deserts are not going to get it. So, you know, you don't want to do it there. Or down at a perimeter in a desert. Don't do a whole desert. Don't do perimeters for this. There's no reason to do perimeter for this. You have to AFK for the thunderstorm anyways. It's not like you can just, well, I guess if you have mods on your server, you probably could call down thunderstorms, in which case maybe you want to build a perimeter for it. You're nuts. You are absolutely crazy. But you have to remember the mobs are still in that system. This is not meant to be a super efficient mob drop farm. This is meant to be just a quick build that you can get to get those mobs to spawn and get them into stasis where you need them. I know I said final note. I do have one more note. Why the heck did I build this so high up? Why didn't I build it lower? Decrease the height map on it. Maybe that would help. Well, yes, but if mobs are outside of that range of the player, they won't actually then pathfind to those full blocks, and they'll just kind of stand in there looking like idiots. They can grab your free cam, you'll go in there and look. They'll just stand there until they despawn. It's no fun. So this way, they're close enough to the player that they're not going to despawn until they fall down into that chute. That's when they have a chance. But at that point, the chance of them despawning, they fall down pretty quick. They get picked up by a minecart pretty quick. So we're using that to keep them around the player, to keep them pathfinding, try to keep them despawning as long as possible, but then sending them back down here. And again, the player is at that height just so we could have that area that we don't have to really spawn proof anything, especially if we're in an ocean. We don't have to spawn proof any caves or anything like that. So I promise that's the final note. Just kidding. There's one more note. And you guys know what it is. As always, no matter what you are going through in your life right now, if what you are going through is making you not okay right now, just try and keep in mind that it's okay not to be okay. All right. You can be not okay for a little bit. Just try and keep that chin up. Things will get better. So just try and rough it out through this process. I promise you things will get better from where you are. But in the meantime, it's okay not to be okay. I will catch you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.